Lately, the local people have often complained about the wild boars, as they often appear in their yards at night. These uninvited guests not only cause destruction, they even cause accidents. Taking advantage of some free time, I also wanted to see how stubborn these wild boars really are. Now let's follow us and search for these troublemakers right away. As soon as the sun rose, I decided to bring my bow and cross through the flooded forest to follow the tracks of the wild boars. I hoped that I could kill a few wild boars to reduce their rapidly growing numbers. Oh, right when I arrived, the scene in front of me took me by surprise. The wild boars here looked fatter and bigger. They were soaking in the mud. Taking advantage of the moment when the herd was off guard, I immediately shot an arrow, making it startle and run off. But the arrow had wounded it, and I successfully took down a giant monster. Not long after, a herd of 7 to 8 wild boars suddenly appeared at the edge of the swamp. They were drinking water, rolling in the mud, completely unaware that death was lurking behind the trees. To avoid being detected, I hid behind a large tree trunk, carefully taking aim. A perfect shot. The target was taken down. I stood still for a few seconds, clearly feeling my heart pounding with excitement. On the other side of the bank, I spotted 2 more wild boars drinking water. Silently approaching, every movement had to be extremely cautious, as even the slightest sound could alert the whole herd. After a few minutes of tension, I decided to attack. The arrow flew like it was tearing through the wind, piercing into a boar, making it run away in pain. However, it could only run a short distance before collapsing. Let's see what I just saw. A crowded herd of wild boars, around several dozen. Now, I finally understand why the people around here are afraid of the destruction caused by wild boars. If this herd comes, just a few minutes are enough for even the ground to be completely dug up. After that, I try to get closer and shoot a few more arrows. But this herd was too cunning. They quickly ran away as soon as they saw me appear.
Oh, look at that, I didn't get the arrow back. That's a bonus.
At this moment, the weather became hotter than ever, but a wild boar quickly entered my sights. It was moving alone at quite a far distance. I had to quietly approach to get the best shooting position, but it seemed to have sensed the danger. The boar suddenly stopped. It knew I was there. Just a few seconds of hesitation, but for me, that was a golden opportunity. Time was no longer early. We tried to take down as many targets as possible before returning. It could be seen that the wild boars here were also very numerous. Hiding in the grassy fields, from my position, I could only faintly see their backs. However, it wasn't easy for me to make the shots because they noticed and ran away very quickly. And real luck finally came. Choosing a favorable angle, I tried to aim as precisely as possible. Great! The arrow pierced right into its belly, causing the boar to collapse on the spot with no chance to fight back. The dangers from wild boar herds lie not only in their destructiveness, but also in their rapid reproduction and the risk of diseases they carry, which put pressure on the ecosystem and the lives of local people. Therefore, we're still trying every possible way to deal with them. Tony, a close friend of mine, owns a large farm in the suburbs. He had complained many times about the wild boars that frequently attacked and destroyed his crops, causing considerable damage. The corn, potato, and cassava fields that he had tended for many days were suddenly plowed up. Unable to let this situation continue, I quickly accepted. A dramatic adventure was waiting for me ahead. I set off early in the morning, taking about 30 minutes to drive to the farm. On both sides of the road were vast green fields. In the distance were dense forests, where the wild boars could be nesting. Tony was waiting with a long-range rifle and an eager smile. We started our hunt in the cornfield near the farm. Looking at the torn corn cobs and the large footprints on the ground, I knew that the herd of wild boars had just visited here not long ago. However, it seemed that the herd had sensed danger and temporarily retreated. Following the trail, we discovered a wild boar foraging for food on a nearby hill. At a distance of 400 m, I gently raised my gun, adjusted the scope, kept my breathing steady, and pulled the trigger. The bullet whizzed through the air, hitting the target. The wild boar, weighing about 90 kilograms, was hit by the bullet, startled, and rushed away in despair. But it only ran a few dozen meters before it collapsed completely. We checked the first spoils and confirmed that the shot was completely accurate. As if empowered, we continued to move, searching for prey in the surrounding area. Suddenly, from the dense bushes, a wild boar weighing about 75 kilograms jumped out, rushing right in front of me at a terrifying speed. Reflexively, I immediately raised my gun, and pulled the trigger without thinking. This was just the beginning. Realizing that the pigs often came to the farm at night, we decided to change our tactics. Ambush in the dark. When night fell, Tony and I chose the perfect hiding place. Behind the bushes near the farm, we equipped ourselves with thermal scopes to monitor every movement around. Not long after, black shadows appeared. The wild pigs had come. Waiting for them to let their guard down, we opened fire simultaneously. The wild pigs weighing from 80 kilograms to 110 kilograms were hit and fell on the spot. The others panicked and ran away, but we quickly moved, locking all directions, not letting any escape.
Hey, what you got, bud?
Through the scope, I saw at least 7 to 8 of them digging around the fence to try to escape, but it was completely useless. At midnight, when the gunfire had stopped, we checked our spoils. One unexpected result: the entire herd of wild boars was almost completely annihilated. After a night of fierce fighting, we returned to the farm to rest, preparing for the next day of hunting. The next morning, as the sun rose, we quickly moved up to the nearby hill, where Tony suspected there were still some wild boars left. As expected, a giant wild boar appeared. It was much larger than the others, weighing at least 120 kilograms, with a pair of sharp, threatening fangs. I carefully approached, kept my composure, aimed carefully, and pulled the trigger. The bullet hit the monster right in the neck, causing it to stagger, roar fiercely, and then collapse immediately. Another target was taken down. After 2 days and 1 night of intense fighting, we had taken down more than 30 wild boars. Tony's farm could finally be at peace again. Although it was hard, the feeling of conquering nature and protecting the fruits of our labor was truly worth it. This was not just a hunting trip, but a dramatic adventure and an unforgettable experience. And for sure, if the wild boars come back, we will be ready to fight again.
Goodness gracious.
The chirping of birds echoed overhead, signaling a promising new day for the farmers who were starting to harvest their crops. But no one would expect that beneath those fertile fields, a danger was lurking. As the farmers began to harvest the golden corn, a strange sound rang out from the end of the field. A rough noise, as if the soil was being turned upside down. The corn plants were being knocked over. The sound of the harvesting machine's engine grew closer and closer, and this was when the culprit appeared, a group of wild boars who were frightened and ran away from the field. The news spread quickly, and in a moment, John, a famous hunter in the area, was present at the field. He brought along weapons and trained hunting dogs. With the help of the farmers, they quickly deployed their formation and searched for the invaders. While tracking the targets, a wild boar suddenly rushed past John. Without hesitation, he quickly raised his gun, held his breath, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out dryly, and the animal collapsed to the ground. However, before they could check their loot, they discovered more traces leading to a nearby wheat field. Another wild boar was hiding there. Its shiny black fur glistened under the sunlight. Its bloodshot eyes and sharp fangs made the air suffocating. John carefully approached, adjusted the scope, and resolutely pulled the trigger. A fatal shot, and another target was taken down. The other wild boars were frightened by the gunshot and ran everywhere. Screams rang out as the farmers split up in pursuit. Each time the animal turned, they had to change tactics, trying to corner it. When the boar paused for a moment to catch its breath, John quickly seized the opportunity. The bullet embedded itself deep into the boar's body, finishing it off with a perfect quick shot. As the hunters inspected their prey, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. A loud noise rang out from the opposite direction. The pack of hounds were chasing a large boar. This time the target was larger and more aggressive. It was trying to escape. It aimed straight at John and charged at a terrifying speed. He tried to dodge, but the boar did not stop. It turned around, continuing to attack. Its fangs were only centimeters away from him. The breathtaking confrontation took place. John used his gun to take down the wild boar within inches, sweat dripping down his forehead. The wild boar roared, struggled violently, and finally fell down, lying motionless in the middle of the field. The gunshots caused the wild boar herd to be strongly agitated, scattering everywhere. However, John did not flinch, closely coordinating with the people to control the situation. The target was quickly forced into a corner, and finally was taken down by fatal shots. The remaining wild boars were also quickly found. They hid in the tall, dense grass at the edge of the field. It rushed out of the grass with incredible speed, its bloodshot eyes flashing with ferocity. It growled, displaying its dangerous, sharp fangs, creating a scene that made everyone shiver. But John, with his vast experience, in just a split second, a precise shot rang out. The wild boar collapsed to the ground, ending the tense chase. After many hours of intense fighting, the battle finally ended. The wild boars were scattered across the field, while the farmers breathed a sigh of relief. The huge, heavy wild boars were dragged out of the field. Although they were victorious, everyone understood that this was just one battle in the endless war with wild boars. The rows of corn that were knocked over and the soil that was turned upside down were a clear reminder that more effective protection measures were needed.
Every year, when the crops are in the strong growth stage, it is also the time the wild boars begin to invade the fields, destroying the farmers' efforts. The surveillance cameras recorded the horrifying scene. Hundreds of wild boars frantically ravaged, trampled the crops, and destroyed the rice, corn, and soybean fields. The fruits of the farmers' labor suddenly became a wild feast. Unable to stand idly by, we decided to take action. A large-scale hunt was organized, where experienced hunters joined forces, made meticulous plans, and were ready to enter a tense battle with this dangerous enemy. As soon as we arrived at the field, we received a signal from the surveillance camera. A herd of wild boars was hiding in the grass. We quickly deployed our formation. As we approached, a large wild boar suddenly rushed out, as if it had sensed danger. Without hesitation, we immediately raised our guns, aimed carefully. Boom! The first shot rang out, and the monster collapsed on the spot. The noise startled the herd of wild boars, and they scattered and ran away. But the hunt had just begun. We continued to scan the grass. Calm down. The wild boars were still here. Immediately, the team leader signaled his teammates to disperse, surrounding them from many directions. A wild boar realized the danger and tried to run away, but the weapon was ready. A precise shot caused it to collapse on the ground. At this time, the herd of wild boars nearby split up and ran away towards the dense cornfields and grass patches nearby. We immediately chased after them. The hunting dogs ran ahead, barking loudly to signal that the target was very close. A giant wild boar tried to hide but was discovered by us. Approaching, observing carefully, waiting for the right moment. When it moved, we immediately pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, the monster stopped, then collapsed right under the ambush position. Seizing the opportunity, the whole team moved into the ambush position, closely following the flame targets. Fatal shots rang out. Each giant wild boar was destroyed. While passing through a patch of tall, dense grass, suddenly, a wild boar suddenly charged straight towards us. It ran so fast that it was unbelievable, startling everyone. We reacted immediately, raised our guns, and pulled the trigger when it was only a few meters away. The bullet hit its head, causing it to collapse immediately. This was why we had to stay alert at all times. One moment of carelessness, and we could become prey. It seemed that a large herd of wild boars was hiding here. We immediately deployed an ambush formation. When we received the signal, the whole group opened fire. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the field. When the smoke cleared, 3 more wild boars were lying on the ground. The remaining ones ran away in panic, but they would definitely never return to this land again. Following the trail, we arrived at a nearby forest. Before long, the signal from the dogs continued to ring out. Here it is. The whole team regained their spirits, ready for a ruthless battle. 1 shot, 1 kill. The fall of the herd of pigs was our motivation to fight. Under the scorching midday sun, we continued our journey. In the distance, the hunting dogs had discovered another herd of wild pigs moving through the trees. The group immediately accelerated to approach. We quickly aimed at the leader, a giant wild pig weighing no less than 150 kilograms. A precise shot made it collapse. But before I could celebrate, I discovered another one running towards the main road. I couldn't let it escape, so I continued to fire. The result, another wild pig was taken down. As dusk fell, we received a report from a nearby farmer. Another herd of wild boars had just invaded the nearby grassy hill. Without hesitation, we immediately rushed in. This time, we had to face at least 6 wild boars that were wreaking havoc. My teammates and I divided up the most advantageous positions. When the wild boars realized the danger, they immediately ran away. But none of them could escape our sharpshooters. Within a few minutes, the entire herd of wild boars was taken down. After a long day, we have killed dozens of wild boars. The fields have temporarily returned to peace, but we know that this battle is not over yet. The wild boars will return, and we will always be ready.
had the opportunity to visit a friend's field. However, this place was being destroyed by wild boars, causing billions of dollars in damage every year. My friend was very worried, but could not do anything because their numbers were too large. And on this occasion, I will help him eliminate the danger. Under the early morning sun, the rays of sunlight dyed the vast grasslands golden. That peaceful space suddenly became chaotic when a herd of wild boars appeared. They rushed through, destroying everything in their path, leaving behind a scene of devastation. After many hours of following the ruins, I discovered my target, a large wild boar. It was chewing on small branches, its sharp eyes full of vigilance. I held my breath, slowly approaching. Each step was carefully calculated to make no noise. The distance gradually narrowed. I raised my gun, aimed straight at the target. Not letting the opportunity slip away, I immediately pulled the trigger. The bullet whistled, piercing through the thick skin. The pig paused for a few seconds, collapsing to the ground. Its breathing gradually weakened, blending with the strong heartbeat in my chest. The new trail led me up a steep hill where the wild boars were gathering. In front of me were about 10 pigs, from big to small, busy foraging. They were completely unaware of my presence. Quickly choosing a higher position where I could see the entire herd. Taking a deep breath, I raised my gun, aiming straight at the largest leader. The first shot rang out. The leader wild boar collapsed on the spot, followed by the screams of the entire herd. The gunshot echoed throughout the hill, causing the herd to fall into chaos, running in all directions to find a way to escape. In that chaotic scene, I took advantage of the opportunity, quickly aiming and shooting each one. The accurate shots took down a few more, causing the ground to shake with the sound of running, roaring, and heavy falls. When the chaos passed, the scene was left with only traces of the hunt, where instinct and skill had decided everything. After taking down the first boar, it didn't take me long to face the next targets. Another herd of boars appeared, and this time they were even larger. Among them, a boar with a massive body stood out from the herd, attracting all my attention. I aimed, keeping my breathing steady. The gunshot rang out, and the result was beyond my expectations. Not just one, but 2 boars fell at the same time. A perfect double shot. The remaining boars ran away in panic, but I didn't care too much. This achievement was enough to satisfy me. Back in the field, I was faced with another scene. A herd of wild boars twice as large was destroying the rice fields. The first group used sticks and shouts to drive the herd into a blind corner of the field. Meanwhile, the second group, led by me, was waiting in ambush in front. As the herd was pushed into the trap, I aimed and shot each one, accurately and decisively. The remaining pigs, realizing they were surrounded, began to fight back fiercely. They charged at the nearest farmers, but the close coordination between the two groups, along with the support of the gun in my hand, kept everyone safe. After a tense fight, the herd of wild boars was completely annihilated. The field was peaceful again, and this victory was a testament to the solidarity and determination of everyone. I thought the wild boars had been chased away from the field by me. But no, in a hidden corner, another herd of wild boars was still leisurely foraging. I quietly observed, realizing that there were a few large ones in the herd. After a few minutes of consideration, I decided to aim at the fattest wild boar. The gunshot rang out, and the boar collapsed. The wild boars immediately panicked, running in one direction. I quickly aimed at the others, focusing on the larger ones, but their running speed was too fast. The next shots were fruitless. I thought it was all over, but no. The remaining wild boars seemed to refuse to accept defeat. They gathered into a larger herd, led by a giant male boar, whose body was twice the size of an adult human. Their glowing eyes flashed from the bushes, as if signaling a final battle was approaching. As the leader charged, I immediately counterattacked. The gunshots rang out. Each pig fell, but the leader did not stop. It was like a ferocious tornado, tearing through space, charging straight towards me. I reflexively stepped back, trying to stay calm. I aimed carefully, waiting for the decisive moment. The last bullet left the barrel, flying straight into the beast's forehead. It paused, its giant legs swayed, and then collapsed right in front of me. The space returned to silence. Only my heavy breathing in the middle of the empty field remained. The battle was over, and the leader's fall was a testament to the courage and determination in this life and death battle.
Wild boar, a real nightmare for with the fields. They not only destroy crops, but also multiply at a frightening rate. Ground traps seem to be no longer effective enough to control their numbers. So this time, we decided to try a more daring method, hunting wild boars from the air. The journey began with a helicopter ready to take off, weapons prepared, and a target identified. But will this method really work? The helicopter roared in the sky, scanning the vast fields. We used long-range binoculars to identify the tracks of wild boars. After only a few minutes, from above, we discovered the target. Not giving them a chance to hide, the pilot lowered the altitude, creating favorable conditions for us to open fire. A wild boar was hit and collapsed in the middle of the field. The rest ran away in panic, but could not escape our guns. For them to hide. The pilot controlled the helicopter to fly close to the direction of the pig's movement, allowing us to shoot more accurately. Aimed straight at the target, pulled the trigger decisively, 1 kill. After taking down a few more, we discovered another group of wild boars entering a nearby garden. The pilot quickly accelerated, approaching the target. Although aiming from above was a bit difficult, with our skillful shooting, we were still able to take down the target easily. Towards the edge of the forest, a group of wild boars quickly dispersed, looking for cover under the dense trees. We couldn't shoot through the dense trees, so we decided to change tactics, using helicopters to force them out of their hiding areas. Once the herd of wild boars were forced out of the forest, they had nowhere to hide. The lone targets that fell behind were the targets. Boom! They collapsed as soon as they stepped out of the forest edge. Continued to run, this time towards a large patch of grass. They thought the grass would help them escape, but they were wrong. From above, I could see their every move below. The guns were loaded, the whole team opened fire. After a hail of bullets, most of the pigs were destroyed. After a long day of fighting, we spotted a few wild pigs wandering around. This was our last chance today. The helicopter circled overhead, keeping a high enough altitude to observe. When the wild pigs started to scatter, we continuously opened fire. In less than 10 minutes, all the wild pigs in the area were taken down. After a tense battle, dozens of wild pigs were taken down, helping to protect the crops from their destruction. This was truly an effective and dramatic hunting method. Looking back at the images captured by the helicopter camera, we were surprised by the level of destruction of the wild boars and also admired the accuracy when shooting from the air. The wild boar hunt from the helicopter brought unexpected results. But is this a long-term method to control wild boars? Wild boar, from a wild animal, now turned into a real disaster. Reports of hundreds of wild boars descending on residential areas were increasing. The local authorities could no longer stand idly by. They stepped in. This time, we participated in a large-scale wild boar hunting campaign organized by the government. With full weapons, modern equipment, and support from the rangers, we entered the hills, considered the epicenter of the wild boar crisis. Starting early in the morning, marching up the hills, where surveillance cameras detected a herd of more than 30 wild boars advancing toward the fields below. The terrain on the hills was very complicated, but also an advantage for ambushes. The group split up, quietly advancing toward the herd. When the distance was only about 50 meters, the signal to fire was given. The first shots rang out. 3 wild boars fell on the spot. The others ran away in panic, but it was too late. Within a few minutes, 4 more were taken down. An impressive start to today's campaign. Continuing to move, we discovered another group of wild boars running up the hillside. We immediately gave chase. Moving through mountainous terrain was not easy, but once we entered this battle, no one had any intention of giving up. Any target that entered the scope was taken down by the skilled shooters in the team. The others continued to run, but could not escape our observation from above. 5 minutes later, the entire herd of boars was annihilated. Advancing deeper into the forest, we encountered a giant wild boar. We were all too familiar with this situation. Without hesitation, we calmly aimed and shot straight at its head. The bullet hit right in the middle of its forehead, decisively taking down the target. At this time, our teammates were equally tense. Many other wild boars were discovered, and then a fierce chase took place. The sound of gunfire mixed with the screams of the pigs. This was the price they had to pay for what they had caused. As the sun rose, we entered a dense forest, which was said to be the lair of the largest herd of wild boars in the area. Suddenly, a wild boar jumped out of the bushes and charged straight towards the ambush location. One of the team members kept firing. However, the boar kept changing direction and charging. Without thinking much, we raised our guns and shot when it was only 3 meters away. The fatal shot caused the boar to collapse right in front of me. The others saw this and started to run away in panic, and we immediately took the opportunity to kill 6 more. Today was a lucky hunting day. It didn't take us long to find the next targets. Changing tactics, we would attack from the top of the mountain, where we had the perfect view and shooting angle. When the herd of boars started to pour out of the trees, we quickly took them down one by one, turning this area into a real battlefield. After a long day of fighting, the whole team was exhausted, but their fighting spirit did not decrease. Another herd of wild boars was discovered. The whole team advanced, approaching from many directions. When the herd discovered us, they panicked and tried to run away, but with the tight encirclement tactic, none of them could escape. After 10 minutes of tense struggle, the entire herd of boars was finally taken down. A few lucky targets escaped our sights, but we quickly found them because of the traces they left behind. Gunfire echoed once again, completely taking down the target. We stood on the hilltop, looking down at the battlefield below. A day of hunting was a great success. With dozens of wild boars killed, the campaign has saved hundreds of hectares of farmland from the ravages of wild boars. But this is just the beginning. The wild boar population is still very large, and the fight is certainly not over. The local government has seen the importance of controlling the wild boar population, and in the coming time, there will be more hunting campaigns to protect crops and people.
These are the most thrilling wild boar hunting moments ever. Each precise shot, breathtaking chase, and unexpected situations that make everyone's heart skip a beat. Are you ready? Let's explore the top wild boar hunting moments with ADP Earth right now. Unbelievable. Just one bullet, accurate to the millimeter, right in the middle of the wild boar's forehead. A top shot that gives everyone who watches it goosebumps. Not every wild boar is easy to take down. This is a real monster. Big, fast, and extremely dangerous. But the hunter was in no hurry. He waited, moved smartly, and then... a brave shot. A series of kills that cannot be taken off. Unbelievable. Even after being shot, the wild boar still tried to get up with the intention of attacking the hunter. So dangerous. But at that moment, the pack of hunting dogs surrounded it, barking loudly, forcing the beast into a corner. This was a relentless chase. The wild boar sensed danger and ran forward at full speed. But the hunter did not give up easily. He accelerated, chose the right shooting point, and pulled the trigger. The wild boar still refused to yield. Continuous shooting. What a beautiful shot. A situation not for the faint-hearted. The wild boar suddenly changed direction, charging straight at the hunter. In just a split second, he dodged, turned 180 degrees, and immediately shot. Oh, unbelievable. Waiting is an art, and this hunter demonstrated it perfectly. He was patient, barely moving, blending into nature. And then, when the wild boar came into range, just one shot, accurate to the centimeter, the wild boar collapsed, rolling down the hillside. The wild boar panicked, weaving through the dense trees, trying to escape. However, the hunter did not allow that to happen, adjusted his aim, and then pulled the trigger decisively. An impressive kill.
You did?
Hunting wild boars is not just a one-man job. This is a moment that shows the power of teamwork. The hunters coordinated perfectly, surrounded, cornered, and took down a huge herd of wild boars. What do you think of this ambush tactic? It's amazing, right? Too fast, too precise. A dramatic close-range kill. Wow, the hunter calculated precisely, just a second of delay, and this wild boar would have disappeared from sight. Look at how he kept calm and waited for the golden opportunity. It's amazing. This hunter's shooting skills made me admire him. Even the long distance and harsh weather conditions could not trouble him. So we have reviewed the most dramatic moments of hunting wild boars. Which scene impressed you the most? Don't forget to leave a comment below and click like and subscribe for ADP Earth so you don't miss the next exciting videos.